Hello, welcome to an all-new Marvelcast, Explosion Network's hub of all things Marvel, a place to talk about everything MCU and beyond, from Avengers and Defenders to Dead Girl and Deathlock. My name's Ashley Hobley, the Explosion Network's resident watcher. Joining me today is Ultimate Kieran Marchant.
Dead Girl and Deathlock are interesting choices there, buddy.
Yeah, they're both undead. Also joining us, the astonishing Dylan Blight.
This is a very violent episode, everyone.
Yes, it is a very violent episode.
Slightly. I feel like somebody just reskinned an episode of The Walking Dead, like really.
A little bit. I mean, they did have a character from actress from The Walking Dead, so. Alright. If you haven't worked it out, today we're talking about the latest episode of What If Zombies? Directed by Bryan Andrews, written by Matthew Chauncey. When the Avengers are infected by a zombie plague, surviving heroes search for a cure. Kieran, what do you think of this episode of What If?
I feel like we do this every week since like maybe the second episode, but I think this is my favourite episode of the show. Just because of how willing they were to go outside of the usual genre of like superhero movies and embrace a lot more of the horror elements. They didn't just kind of half-ass the fact that it was zombies. Like, characters we know and love legit died in front of us. Man, you think you've had moments of Peter Parker being upset already in the MCU with Tony Stark's death, but now you have like an episode of this where Happy dies during it. It's like, holy shit, that is... it went a lot further than I thought it was, even to the point of having Vision had, how fuck messed up was that? Vision, quote-unquote, saved or, picked up Black Panther just so that he could use Black Panther as meat for the Scarlet Witch to feed on and to keep her placated. Like, that's fucking messed up. I think the only maybe shortcomings or the down part of this episode only for me was how obvious the voice actors were compared to the real actors that we know play those characters compared to those that aren't. Especially, I think the obvious one was Peter Parker because he probably had the more central role.
I believe he was the only one.
He was the only one?
He was the only one. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Why did I feel like there was more than just him?
Bruce Banner, Mark Ruffalo, Black Panther, Chadwick, Vision, Paul Bettany, Bucky, Sebastian, Hope, Evangeline, Scott, Paul Rudd, Happy Hogan, John Favreau, Okoye, Danai, Gurira, Shannon Carter, Emily Van Camp, Kurt David, I think that's the real actor for Kurt,
yep,
right?
That's him. Yep.
Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Hudson Thames is that person. Emily Moore, Tom Vaughan-Lawlor. I assume that's the right person.
Pretty sure that's the right person.
Steve Rogers, Captain America, Josh Keaton. But did he actually talk, or was that just...
I think he comes off the helicarrier, and that's it.
Okay, right.
Yeah, no, and maybe it's just because also I didn't think Kurt's voice actor was the same, but I don't know. Maybe that was just a voice acting performance or being a bit uncomfortable in the booth, as we've kind of pointed out in other episodes. But other than that, this is definitely, my favorite episode, and I really enjoy how they took to the genre of creating more of a horror movie. How to make zombies scarier is make a form of zombies that have these people capable of using their abilities while they're in zombie form. Like, that is, it's just a whole new level of scary, honestly.
Yeah, a little bit. Dylan, what do you think?
It was pretty good. I kind of wish that just made it a little bit more violent and committed to it, because you're already cutting Captain America in half or whatever. I'm just like, add a bit of blood in there. Let's just go MA. Let's get this motherfucker rolling. Let's go. Fuck Disney Plus. Put this shit on Star. Let's put 2 episodes or whatever on Star. There was one other thing that really annoyed me about this, though, and it was just one of those weird things that when they get in your brain, I'm just like, fuck, why would you do that? And it was just the Hope dying thing where she decides she'll just have her final moments go out as the giant form and not shrink down to normal size or whatever. I was like, come on, you're trying to help everyone and you're literally staying as the worst possible thing to turn into a zombie as. Why? It just annoyed me for the rest of the episode for some reason. Especially because as soon as they're leaving, I was straight away in my brain's like, she's going to be out there, isn't she? And then it happened. I was like, fucking hell. Why is this bothering me so much? But otherwise, it was really, really good. I've been looking forward to this one because I just thought Marvel Zombies would be a bit of fun because you're never going to see them adapt this in live action, I don't think. So I guess animation would be the closest thing that we're going to get. I didn't mind Peter Parker's different voice actor. You can tell it's not
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland, yeah. Fuck, I forgot his name for a second. You can tell it's not Tom Holland, but I think it's still like tonally got that sort of same vibe as him, or doing as good as he can. Everyone else was pretty good as well. Yeah, the whole Black Panther leg thing is like it rides a good line of how messed up I guess they could go with the rating, because it's very obvious if you read between the lines that that's exactly what's happened, but they make sure to never say specifically that he cut off the leg and fed it to her. It's just sort of implied.
I thought they did specifically say. I thought they did pretty much say that.
They say it without saying it, because I feel like that would push it.
I think they say that he's been feeding people to.
Yes, they say
Wanda.
He'd been feeding people to Wanda. He never specifically says
talks about Black Panthers. Yeah.
Then yes, because I feel like if he specifically said I cut off T'Challa's leg and fed it, like I just think describing it would push it over the rating or something like that. Like I've fed people is very like broad term or whatever, so kind of appreciated how they got around that, because that is like sort of fucked up the more you think about it. Wanda as full on zombie was crazy, insane or whatever, but for some reason I was also just like, maybe after coming off WandaVision it wasn't as exciting to me, because I felt like we'd sort of seen this whole, what if Wanda goes bad for a time, or like, but what's this sort of thing.
This episode in that kind of section is a parallel to WandaVision, right? It's like, what if it was the other way around in a situation, whereas Vision is the one trying to keep some form of Wanda alive and trying to hang on to that. Instead of just, how Wanda was trying to keep him alive, Vision just didn't want to kill her and was doing whatever he could to try and find a cure for her and keeping her locked up and alive within the confines of the camp.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think there are some interesting parallels, especially given the time frame of when this took place. Obviously set during Infinity War, effectively. Beginning with, Hulk landing in the Sanctum Sanctorum, empty one. Yeah, and like Vision, like pulling out the gem himself, kind of replacing Thanos to a certain degree. Yeah, and then people actually dying and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I thought it was a really good episode, and like they found a way to like fit it well inside the mythology of the MCU and that kind of thing. So yeah, and it felt like a zombie movie. People do stupid things. Zombies come out of nowhere. It's like there are a few like nitpicks, like the Avengers were on the West Coast. How did they end up on the East Coast? It was like 2 weeks ago.
I guess if they
fast train,
they kind of, well, some of them can fly. Some can fly, and they said
what out of the 5 that was there?
Iron Man can fly.
It'd be Iron Man. So Iron Man's flying around, biting everybody, and carrying everybody across the country.
Yeah, he could be flying back and forth.
There is how did this infect the other 4 continents?
Yeah, I'm not sure in that one. I guess from all accounts, Wakanda was fine. And
not to say the disease couldn't start in one continent and then spread to all other continents, but one that's based on like actually biting somebody. I feel like that might be a little bit more trickier to spread everywhere.
I guess these zombies are a lot more. These zombies seem to be a lot more intelligent than just your bog standard boring zombies. Like these zombies were almost like they were actively thinking about how to catch people and actively doing things. So maybe they were, somewhere in their mind they were like, dude, if we can get a boat or a plane, we'll just get there. Yeah, like maybe the zombie Avengers flew the Quinjet that they had back to New York and everything,
Maybe. Yeah, obviously. And how do we feel about the idea of how the zombie apocalypse started? That it was Janet was infected, and the events of Ant-Man and the Wasp caused the events of the zombie apocalypse. I thought that was a pretty clever way to introduce a zombie plague.
Yes, the only thing we didn't see is what's the choice that she made down there that ended up with her getting that, compared to what didn't she do in the normal MCU timeline to get that?
I think it's just, what if she got bitten by a tiny zombie in the microverse?
Well, for her, it's like she's just contracted an infection. And whatever.
Yeah, what if she contracted an infection? Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those things where I guess a lot of the other episodes have been active choices, where this is just a series of events that led to an absolute calamity.
Yeah. I'll also say this episode was quite funny as well. You know?
Dude, Paul Rudd stole the show.
Paul Rudd stole the show as Scott Lang in a head in a box.
Have we all seen Mars Attacks? Because that's all I was thinking about.
No, my head went straight to Futurama, but yeah.
I was also on the Futurama train.
That would be... Yous would go to Futurama, and I would go to
It was in
Mars Attacks,
animation.
Right?
So,
Yeah, okay.
then we also had like Peter talking about how to avoid zombies, giving a full on
Did his
handmade video
tutorial, his handmade video
who's watching these
reminded
videos?
It reminded me of
it's ripped straight out of
Sunset
Zombieland.
Overdrive.
Because it reminded me of Zombieland, because that's just how the opening.
Yeah, the opening part because it says Zombieland or whatever, basically says Zombieland. But then the rest of it, like him filming himself, he's on a rooftop and everything like that, reminded me of the start of Sunset Overdrive. A game I haven't finished, but I remember the opening of.
Yeah, and I thought it was an interesting group of people that they had like stay alive.
I appreciated it. It took me a little bit after I realized that I hadn't actually seen Doctor Strange, that it was just the cape flying around. And I appreciate like seeing Peter in the cape. That is, I think it's been seen a number of times throughout comic book history now, so it was nice to have that referenced in the train and how it kind of suits him.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think that was like a promotional image for What If, and people were assuming he was going to be the Sorcerer Supreme, so in one episode, which could still happen. But yeah, it was interesting. Those other funny stuff I want to point out. Happy shirt in the opening. It's I'm single.
I'm not single. I'm just waiting for Thor or something.
Yeah, pretty great. You know? And then yeah, like some of the deaths were quite like for what they're going for the PG-ish ratings. Still pretty gruesome.
I guess for what they, opening with like the first like kind of nod to what was the level of it going to happen was just Happy getting absolutely skewered by an arrow. And then
Wong got decapitated.
Did he?
That's how he dies at the start.
His head was picked up.
Oh, right. Yep. Yeah, no, that's fair. It's just,
those zombies were devoured by a bunch of ants.
But I guess zombie action was fine. Zombie on zombie violence.
Okay, zombie on zombie violence is fine. Yeah.
It's more the fact of just, characters that are acting as the characters we love, going out. Like, even if they made a joke out of Happy saying blam every time he shot.
He also says blam the first time he comes back on the screen as a zombie. He goes,
yes.
Blam.
Yeah.
Like a zombie tone. Which was quite good.
Very good. Okay. I thought that like train sequence was really reasonably well put together. Should have known, don't split the party, man. Doesn't end well.
Using this common theme of Peter and his movie kind of collection and his movie knowledge. And then to the point where, even Hope asking him, well, how do you do this in terms of positivity? But he's just like, I was just in the AV club. Like, just that simple boyhood, like, just ignorance for it. But
on top of that,
great.
He's talking about, like, all these people he's lost before and what his Aunt May would say. But then, what he's saying what Aunt May says, and then he's having to stop himself and say it's said.
Yep.
Like,
he was kind of the centerpiece for this whole episode was Peter,
which makes it a little bit more sad that it wasn't actually Tom Holland, because that would have been cool. I think.
Too busy
But,
filming a million other movies at the same time.
Yeah, Cherry, Uncharted, Spider-Man 3. Didn't have time to jump in a booth.
A phone booth, like fucking Superman, like change it into his VA studio quickly. Fuck.
Soundproof the phone booth and then make a call. Yeah. Yeah, and then, how do we feel about the ending? They got away kind of after Hulk. They got Hulk versus Wanda. We can see how that work pans out. And then we got Black Panther, Scott Lang's head, Spider-Man flying away to Wakanda.
I appreciated that Scott Lang's head could at least move by itself with the assistance of the cape.
Such a great idea. Such a good visual. Just all pieced together. Perfect reason to keep the cape around.
Exactly. It was, I guess, obviously the thought of that is, part of the reason, and everything. I just want to keep going back to just things that Paul Rudd said in the very short time he was in this episode. Are the things that my brain keeps coming back to, hey, you guys can high five if you want to. I won't be offended. Just the darker humor that comes with him, which would bring curiosity of if he was able to write a lot of his own jokes for it, or
looks like ad-libbing.
Yeah, if he was
Maybe.
ad-libbing and just it came off in the booth, which I think if that is the case, they should allow people like him to do that more often, because I think it kind of fleshes out the character a lot more.
Flesh. I think my other major takeaway is I wish it didn't end. I wanted to see more, especially at the end on that
part
final.
2.
You think so?
Yeah,
I think the way they ended it. Oh, next week you think
really?
It's going to be part 2?
Yeah.
Are you wishful thinking, or do you actually know?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, the evidence is here, right? You don't actually get a watcher outro thing that he usually does.
Yeah, you do. You say they were, trying to save the world, but they might end up.
Yeah, there was
the
a watcher
universe.
thing. Yeah,
And then they showed zombie Thanos.
Yeah, but
which I don't know how he gets zombified when it doesn't look like he's on Earth.
and the two people that could have got it, could have transmitted it back to him, got absolutely obliterated in the first scene.
I feel like if there's not part 2 next week, then
People are going to be. I think season 2 there'll be.
We'll come back to it eventually.
I think people will want them to continue the story, and that's the running theme for a lot of these what ifs. It's like, this is cool, but I want more.
It's almost like part of it's like them almost using this as like a taste palette of okay, what are people wanting from us? What are people enjoying?
It's all of it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much all of it so far.
Yeah. All right. Let us know what you thought of this week's What If by going and finding us all on Twitter at explosion.com/Twitter, or jump into our Discord at explosion.com/Discord. Give All New Marvelcast a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, or let people know about the show. And if you like this episode and thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosionnetwork.com/support and buy us a coffee. So make sure you watch the next episode of What If and join us next time for another All New Marvelcast.